Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will discuss the ongoing tussle between the centre and West Bengal government over jurisdiction of bureaucrats following the stone pelting incident relating to BJP President JP Nadda. For the past few days, the West Bengal government and the centre are engaged in a confrontation following an incident of stone pelting on the convoy of BJP President JP Nadda outside Kolkata. After the incident, the centre summoned the state's chief secretary and DGP and ordered central deputation of 3 IPS officers. However, the state government has been in a defiance mode. Can a state government defy the centre's diktat? Is the tussle getting into the sphere of centre-state relations as far as jurisdiction over bureaucrats is concerned? We will try to analyze and understand this aspect in the agenda today. We have with us former Union Law Secretary P.K. Malhotra and retired IPS officer Yashovardhan Azad, who has served as Secretary Security in the central government. But before we begin our conversation, let's have a look at this small report.
The convoy of BJP National President JP Nadda was attacked in Diamond Harbour area of West Bengal South 24th Pargana district some days back. Several cars of the envoy, including that of Nadda's personal security team, were damaged in the incident. Nadda was safe, but the cars of the senior BJP leaders like Dilip Ghosh, Mukul Roy, Kailash Vijayvargiya and Rahul Sinha were damaged by the stones. The incident has triggered yet another confrontation between the Trinamool Congress-ruled West Bengal government and the BJP-ruled. The central government, while taking the incident very seriously, summoned the Chief Secretary and DGP of the state over the issue, but the state government refused to send them. The union government also sought central deputation of 3 IPS officers who were responsible for security of Nadda during the visit. Again, the West Bengal government has refused to oblige, claiming that it has shortage of officers. But it is not the first time that the Mamata Banerjee government of West Bengal has directly confronted the Narendra Modi government at the centre. 2 years back, when the CBI wanted to question Kolkata Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar in a chit fund scam, the Mamata Banerjee government thwarted that. A CBI team which went to question Kumar was locked up for hours, creating an unprecedented situation. The central government then had to approach the Supreme Court, on whose directions Kumar finally appeared before the investigating agency. Clearly, the relation between West Bengal government and the centre are under strain again, leading to questions as to who is not following the constitution. Bureau report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Mr. Malhotra and Mr. Azad. Welcome to the program, sirs. I'll begin by asking Mr. Malhotra, you must have seen the tussle that is going on between West Bengal government and centre over the bureaucrats, particularly IPS officers. Central government has summoned Chief Secretary, DGP, but state government has refused to send them. Then 3 IPS officers are being relocated, but state government is not relieving them. How do you see this situation?
You see, this is not a situation which has arisen for the time. I think this is an ongoing tension between the centre and the state for many years, and there have been instances in the past also where the officer opted for a central deputation and he was selected by the central government, and for some reason or the other, the state government refused to relieve the officer. I think this is not a happy situation. There cannot be 2 opinions that India is a federal structure where there is a clear division of power between the central government and the state government. But so far as the services of the All India services or officers serving in the All India services are concerned, there are rules which are binding on the state government as well as the central government. Examined from that perspective, even in the All India service rule, there is a specific provision that in case there is a difference of opinion between the central government and the state government, it should be amicably settled between the two. And in case it cannot be amicably settled, then the view expressed by the central government should prevail on the central government. No doubt we have a federal structure. Federal structure has to be respected.
So,
State governments have to be respected. But there is a limitation to that. If the state government, without any valid cause or reason, doesn't relieve the officers, then I think the kind of cooperative federalism which we are looking for is lacking somewhere. I am reminded of a case of one officer, Mrs. Archana Ramsundaram, who was an IP officer of DG level in the Tamil Nadu cabinet, who was selected by the CBI after her application was forwarded by the state government.
Right.
But she was not relieved. And what she did, on a missive which was issued by the central government that you should immediately join or you will be debarred from central deputation for 5 years, she joined. The state government took action against her. The matter went to the Supreme Court, and even there also the Supreme Court said these are the matters where the decision should be taken amicably between the two governments, that is the central government and the state government, that the officers should not be made to suffer. I think the kind of cooperation which we are looking for the central and the state government for the administrative relations which are given under the constitution is lacking in this kind of situation.
Right.
In fact, Article 256 and 257 of the constitution specifically make a provision for this, which imposes obligation on the state government as well as the central government to respect each other's view, which is not happening in this case.
So as you mentioned, there have been earlier cases also. I remember one case was in 2001. I think Jayalalitha government was in power, and when Karunanidhi was arrested, it was the Vajpayee government which ordered the deputation of the officers, and similar scenes were witnessed. They were not relieved. So is it doesn't it lead to the question of trampling of each other's powers, or is it?
No, as I said, what is necessary is a cooperation, and one government should understand the viewpoint of the
sir,
other government.
That is the ideal situation, but that ideal situation doesn't prevail always.
But it doesn't prevail. It's not that the constitution is silent or the provision has not been interpreted. As I was talking about Article 256 and 257 of the constitution, which is specifically puts an obligation of the state as well as the union to respect each other's viewpoint, that has to be done. And if that doesn't happen, then obviously the court also intervenes. And once the court intervenes, then the direction given by the court, because that is binding on all authorities within the union, be it an executive authority, be it a legislative authority, the direction issued by the Supreme Court or the order passed by the Supreme Court are binding on all authorities under Article 141 and 142 of the Constitution of India. So, keeping the spirit of the Constitution, I think that kind of respect should come. And if there have been instances where in the past the officers have suffered because of the tussle between the central and the state government, I think that situation needed to be avoided. And if that is created, it sends a wrong signal even to the All India service officers also, and the kind of delivery of service which they want to give, they are not able to give it.
We have a senior IPS officer also who will give his views. Since you talked about the court intervention, so Mr. Azad, I will refer to you the case just 2 years back, again relating to West Bengal, about Rajiv Kumar, Kolkata Police Commissioner, for whom CBI went to arrest him, and CM staged dharna and all that. What you know what happened. So again, it was then left to the court to intervene. So do you find a similar situation developing here also?
You know, in Britain, there is no written constitution. Everything works.
Right.
And problem at all. There is some echo. Can I correct it? Now, the problem in India is that we are quoting role, etc., etc. The point is there is a massive, complete breakdown between West the centre. Why is the centre calling bureaucrats or basically to punish them?
Right.
Because they were involved in the security of The West Bengal government doesn't want because they were punished. But why were they not able to? That is another issue. Because in a system like that, it's complete distrust. When everything boils down to politics, it is impossible to have any kind of adhering to constitution or law and order does not have limits. No point you talk about lofty ideals of when you can't even adhere to constitution. You know, you're talking about right arguments is absolutely right. What is right and what is wrong? Wrong. But if what state perceives law is right, perceives the same is wrong, then you don't have any system at all. And it's so unfortunate in India that very simple things are convoluted, and for every silly thing, we have to go to the court.
So if
And the court also,
Mr. Azad, if I talk about this,
yeah,
yeah,
is on simple things can be done by a simple administrator. This thing will continue in this. There is no future.
So
In this respect.
if we talk about this particular incident, as you mentioned, it was a law and order issue, and maybe these three DCPs or IPS officers were responsible for maintaining law and order. So law and order is a state subject. So when the center wants to punish these IPS officers, is it kind of overreach?
Well, it happened to a central minister. The state is not going to take any action.
No, he is not a minister.
Officers.
He is not a minister. He is a party chief.
No, sorry.
Party chief.
He's a party chief.
Yeah.
He's getting a bulletproof car. He has Z security. He has in fact more security than a minister.
Right.
And the state government is not going to take any action against his officers.
So it is
the
a failure.
central things is about them.
So failure of the state government. Yeah. Failure of the state
Failure
government.
of both. It's failure of both. The state government is saying that every day there is some the central government. It's a question of elections 4 months. Can you also working of the government somebody every day with occurring in every district?
Right.
It impacts administration. It impacts law and order too. So both have their own and both are not very.
Right, Mr. Malhotra, if I come back to you, when we talk about ideal situation, different roles are assigned, responsibilities are assigned, and as you mentioned that central cadre, they are on deputation, police, if you talk about IPS officers and others, who are deputed to various states, then they are supposed to be owing allegiance to the constitution. But what we find is some IPS officers then owe allegiance to particular party, government or something. As we have seen about Kolkata Police Commissioner, where a chief minister staged a dharna to prevent CBI from arresting him. So how does that situation, how do you see that situation?
Mr. Ajay, my apology, I was not able to listen to Mr. Yashovardhan properly because I think there was some audio problem. But the issue which you have raised is a very, very important issue because the bureaucrat, he doesn't belong to any political party. The bureaucracy is supposed to serve independent of the party in power, and the bureaucracy is supposed to serve the government of the day and to carry out its policies. So far as the authorities which are responsible for maintaining law and order are concerned, yes, because law and order is a state subject, state has to do it. And in case any state government fails its duty, under the constitution, the central government has got the authority to issue advisory on any of the matters on which the state is not discharging its functions properly. And in case it doesn't discharge and function properly, even after the issue of the advisory, the constitution makes provision for extreme action of imposing president rule also. But I think that is not the situation here. When we are talking of the bureaucracy, under the constitution itself, the bureaucracy has been given certain protections, I think, which is very, very valuable. And that protection with regard to their service tenure and the action to be taken against them has been given only with this intention that they should carry out the policy of the government and they should not toe any political line. And they are not supposed to owe allegiance to any of the political party. And in case any bureaucrat does so, he violates the conduct rule, he violates his service rules, and disciplinary action can be taken against him.
But don't you find often that IPS officers or IS officers also bearing allegiance to particular party or government and no actions
That's
are
what
taken?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They are not supposed to do it.
They are not supposed, but
to
there is no
act
action.
independently, and they are supposed to serve the government of the day. And in case they are not doing it, their conduct rules permit the government to take action against them for violating the conduct rule.
As we talk, if you refer to the Kolkata Police Commissioner, I mean, when he was summoned by the CBI wanted to interrogate him relating to Ponzi scam. They could not do it. The center had no, I mean, they were not allowed to do it, and they had to go to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court had to issue, direct him to appear before the CBI. So is that an ideal situation, a happy situation?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's not the ideal situation, because what is ultimately needed is, as I said, because if it is a federal structure, our constitution has created a federal structure, and in that federal structure, the state government and the central government is supposed to follow the norms which are laid down in the constitution, be it legislature, be it executive, be it judiciary, or be it the central government or the state government. They derive their authority from the constitution. Constitution is supreme, and if any organ of the government is not following the norms laid down under the constitution or the law passed by the parliament, then obviously the Supreme Court or even the High Courts are competent to give direction to that government to act in accordance with the law. Because following the law, we have rule of law. Law is supreme, and each government, whether at the center or in the center state, they are also supposed to follow the norms laid down under the law. Nobody is above law.
Right.
Be it government, be it an individual, be him a minister. Nobody is above law. If everybody is bound by law, then they must respect the law. And if they are not doing it, of course, as I said, in the constitution, there are avenues available in ensuring that government acts in accordance with the provision of law.
Okay, Mr. Azad, I want to ask you, since I have been an IPS officer, I want to ask you why, I mean, as we talked about, that ideal situation is that bureaucrats, IPS officers, IS officers bear allegiance to the constitution. But then somehow down the years, they get affiliated to a particular party or the government. Why does it happen?
Well, there are very simple reasons why it happens. You know, in a system, whether you talk about bureaucrats, policemen, lawyers, judges, 30% are outstanding. And they are the ones who carry the load of 70% of the ineffectual ones. This is the state of the country. I mean, good, bad or ugly. The problem is that the postings of the bureaucrats or the policemen are done in a manner that perhaps the most merited and the most efficient does not come to the top. And therefore, there is always a band of bureaucrats who align themselves with a particular system because of the promotions and because of the better postings. This is a fact which has been occurring across the state and across the country, even in central deputation. Now, what do you do about it? Quoting constitution or quoting rules of law will not make a difference at all. As I said, Britain does not have a constitution. You apply common sense and things are resolved. In this country, for a very, very simple thing, nobody takes a decision and the matter reaches the court, and court rules over things which even a simple administrator can decide. Now, this is an issue which we have to look into. For example, we have been talking about police reforms for a while. It is the political executive which is in charge of the law and order, and therefore you cannot do anything about it. If the postings are done purely according to what the state government feels, if you don't have any transfer policy, if you don't have any tenure policy, if you don't have any system which actually works, then obviously you're giving a fertile ground for the bureaucrats, for the police to turn towards the political masters. And therefore it is well known that people and bureaucrats who are aligned to parties go up and down with the progression of the political parties. It is unfortunate that in this country there is no system now where we want any kind of reform, whether it is the police reforms, whether it is the bureaucratic reforms, whether it is the political reforms, or whether it is the electoral reforms. So this will unfortunately continue.
So if we talk about particularly police reforms, it has been, the proposal has been there for maybe 3 decades, over 3 decades. But don't you think that political system is not ready to do it, make the reform, because it doesn't suit them?
Yes, in fact, the Prakash Singh led reforms, which was in which the directions were given by the Supreme Court about 15 years back, there is not a single state government which is willing to do it. Now look at this agriculture. Agriculture is also a state subject. But there have been these 3 laws which are being opposed by the farmers. We have a police act which is 1861. Police is a state subject. Why isn't the centre not making a model police act which will be valid for its union territories? So both the centre and the states, which means not a single political party is actually intends to go through these police reforms. And yes, because police reforms are so critical today that without it, talking about any kind of other kind of a reform is no point. And
right.
Even the basic issues we talk about, unless we do police reform, it will not come about.
So I'll ask the same question to Mr. Malhotra. You have been law secretary, so we talk about police reforms, but no concrete action has taken place. There has been no movement. Why so?
I think I will tend to agree with the views expressed by Mr. Yashovardhan, and would also say that there is a lack of political will to carry out this kind of reform because it doesn't serve the political interest of the party. One of the questions raised was with regard to the allegiance of the bureaucrats to the political parties. And because the difficulty in our country is that there is a difference between the law in book and law in action.
Right.
And it is because of that, many of the bureaucrats, as Mr. Yashovardhan also said, just for their personal gain, they try to serve the political master under whom they are working, forgetting that they have to discharge their larger duty to ensure that the law is enforced or the constitutional principles are upheld. And because of this kind of thinking among some of the bureaucrats, and it is rightly said, some of the top bureaucrats, person who can really deliver, they really don't want to come into the forefront, and mediocre type of people, they come to the forefront because of their some affiliation to the political party in power, which is not a healthy practice. And I think this kind of reform need a larger political will, which is probably lacking. And in case that political will comes, like we are talking of we have been talking, and even not now, right from the initial days also, after this Peshwananda Bharti case in 1973, which said that the basic structure of the constitution cannot be changed, and the federal structure of the constitution is the basic structure of the constitution. Everybody has been talking about the cooperative federalism, but when it comes to practice, or when it comes to the political interest, none of the parties is talking about the cooperative federalism, but they talk about their own political interest. That situation needs to be changed.
Rather than cooperative federalism, it becomes confrontationist federalism.
Yeah, that is the difficulty, and that is what we are facing today.
So before we close, we have a few minutes more. So I will ask you about the role of governors also, which was basically laid down in Constitution. They are representatives of the President of India. But what we see in the real terms is they are representatives of a central government or central party which is ruling. And that is also again not an ideal situation. If we particularly talk about some governors who take make political statements, political sides.
You see, theoretically speaking, if you look at the constitutional provision, he is the representative of the President of India,
Right.
who sees that the actions of the state and other activities of the state are carried out in accordance of the provision of the Constitution, and in case they are not carried out, he submits his report to the President, which is considered by the central government, and in case any deficiency is found, then how the action can be taken under the Constitution, that is very well prescribed, and I need not go into the detail of it. Yes, so far as the role of the governor is concerned, that has been debated, and I think that is still under debate. And many a time it has been said, do you really need a governor in a state?
Right.
But I think a time has come when that question should also be debated. And certainly more important is then whether the governor should be there or not. More important will be what is the role of the governor in the state. Should he interfere into day-to-day working of the government, or he should confine his function only to see that the machinery of the government is carried out as per the provision of the Constitution, and in case there is a violation, he reports it to the President or to the central government.
So, Mr. Malhotra, I think we will have another discussion on the role of governors. I want to, before I close, Mr. Azad, how do you see this situation of governors acting as maybe the representative or maybe more than that of the political parties at the center? I mean, the ruling party at the center.
I think Mr. Malhotra has really described the role of the governor very well, how it is perceived and how exactly it should be. It is really very, very unfortunate that people today are questioning whether there should be governors at all,
Right.
or you just, post a joint secretary out there because he will convey what the central government wants. But I can tell you one thing which should be noted, that the role of the governors today is actually creating havoc in the states, because when a governor is all the time commenting on the state government's action, on the state police, on the state bureaucracy, it is really detracting from the dignity and that high office which the governor
Right.
holds. There is a proper procedure by which he should work, and therefore today Mr. Malhotra is absolutely right. We really need a national debate.
So we will have,
how we should accommodate these
I can
governors.
promise that we will have a debate on the role of governors, but our time right now has ended. But thank you both of you for participating in this debate today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.